Call is now being recorded.
We are picking up on page 65, and Bolga starts the narration for us. We should run. The words fill my mind as the priest throws holy water on Don Felicio's coffin. Neighbors slide it into its vault. Donna Augustina holds her rosary and wails. Yesterday at his wake, she told me to run. Yesterday, Pequena had told us to run too. Today, my eyes scan the cemetery, looking for Ray or Nestor, and all I can think about is running. The crowd disperses. Another day, another death, another body. When we get home, Mama sinks into the couch, exhausted. My mind sees the red velvet cushions. Blood red. So much blood. We should run. You and Chico go rest, she says, pulling up her legs and lying down without bothering to change out of her black dress. I'm going to stay here for just a little while. Close and lock the door. Chico gets up from where he was sitting in the doorway, and I do as Mama says. He heads to our room and I follow. There's a heaviness in the air pressing down on us. The thud of my own feet sounds terrible, but as I walk past Mama, she reaches for my arm and grabs it. Volga, she says. The force of her touch and her voice startles me. I look at her terrified face and she says, Te quiero mucho, Pulguita. I know, Mama, I love you too. But there is something else she wants to say and doesn't. I can see it on her face. She just nods, lets go of my arm, and closes her eyes. I stand there for a moment, wondering if Donna Augustina told her about the dream she had. Or maybe Pequena said something. Maybe Mama is starting to believe in brujas and superstitions. Maybe I should, too. Maybe Mama will even tell me I should run because it's the only way, that I have her blessing, that she understands broken promises. Instead, she takes a deep breath, lets it out, and I go to my room. Chico has the fan on the highest setting and it whirs loudly. I close the door even though it keeps the room hotter. Well? Chico asks as I enter. He's fidgety and restless. The brown stripes on his shirt match his skin perfectly. I stare out the window. I don't know, I tell him. I haven't told him what Donna Augustina told me, but the strange things Pequena said put him on edge. He hasn't been able to sit still once, and even here, he seems to be looking over his shoulder. She said something bad was going to happen to us, Bolta. Something bad is going to happen to us. I don't say anything and try to stay calm. Holy shit, Chico whispers, making my heart beat faster. I look out the window expecting to see Ray standing there with a gun pointed right at us. There's no one there. When I turn back to Chico, he's looking at me strangely. You believe her, don't you? I think of the book I keep under my mattress. Information I've collected over the last few years on how to get to the States. Notes, printouts, the train, La Bestia. I think of how my tia in the United States sends money for me every year and Mama only gives me $5 or $10 before saving the rest for me in a hiding place. I think of how I know that hiding place, how I know that Tia's phone number and address. I've memorized both. How I know where to exchange dollars to quetzales and pesos, and I have already done so with those bills Mama has given me each time, just in case. But I don't like the terrified look on Chico's face, the one that confirms what we were both afraid to believe. I shake my head. My heart's racing and it feels hard to breathe, but I tell myself it's just the heat. You know what? This baby has Pequena all messed up. I tell Chico. That's all. She's not herself, and all we have to do is act normal. The lies spill from my mouth, but they taste better than the truth. He closes his eyes and tears stream down his face. Even if Ray thinks we saw something, I continue, or know something, he'll keep an eye on us. And when he sees we're acting normal, that we haven't told anyone anything, he'll leave us alone. Chico opens his eyes. They're red and watery and unconvinced. He wipes at them roughly, but tears keep streaming down his face. I sit down next to him on his mattress, put my arm over his shoulders. It'll be okay, Chico, I promise. But Bolga, it's all going to be okay. He stares at me for a moment, and I will myself to believe it, so he will too. Maybe I can believe it. Maybe if I believe it, it will be true. Come on, you trust me, don't you? I promise you it'll be okay. After a while, he says, Okay. Guilt washes over me, but I push it away. If you say so, Bolga. Okay. All we have to do is act normal, okay? He nods again. Okay. We saw nothing, Chico. Just remember that. We went there, we grabbed a soda, and we headed back home. By the time what happened, we were far away from there. We were never there, Chico. We saw nothing. He takes a deep breath. We saw nothing. That's right, I tell him. We saw nothing. I grab hold of these words, they will force out thoughts of running. Maybe I can put my faith into these words instead. Maybe I can will these words to say this. The fan whirs and catches our words. We saw nothing. We saw nothing. We saw nothing. Those words circle around us the day after Don Felicio's funeral, and the day after that, and the day after that. For over a week, Chico and I go on as normal. We head to school even though all I do is watch the door waiting, barely able to tell one day apart from another. We saw nothing. We take no detours. We look over our shoulders every 5 minutes. We saw nothing. We repeat those words in our heads so much that we hear them in the thud of our steps on the way home from school. We hear them as we walk past Don Felicio's store, which doesn't even exist anymore, all boarded up the way it is. We saw nothing. We repeat them so much that we almost believe them. And we start to think maybe we've escaped. Maybe we'll be okay. But then one morning, we're headed to school, and my breath catches. I see that car barreling toward us once more. It grinds to a stop too quickly, spraying dirt and dust on Chico and me. The same car Ray and Nestor drove the other day. Get in, Nestor calls to us as we try to wave away the dust from our faces. It gets caught in my lashes and I can taste it. Nestor's alone, but he's positioned the car to block our way. No, we're okay, thanks, I say, grabbing on Chico's shoulder and starting to walk around the car. You think I'm offering you a ride? I said, get in. He puts his hand on a gun lying on the passenger seat. I look at Chico and he looks back at me. His eyes are frantic, and I think Chico might run. I can feel my own legs wanting to run, but there's something else in my brain holding me back, not letting me move. Maybe it's remembering how Nestor picked on everyone as soon as he grew a few inches. Maybe it's the way he looked at Ray years ago when Ray said that we should have taken care of me and Chico himself. Maybe it's knowing how eagerly Nestor is trying to prove himself. I look back to see if anyone will see me and Chico getting in the car. People talk about how Nestor is following in his brother's footsteps, and the same is thought of anyone seen with either of them. Go ahead, I said quietly to Chico. I can see the fear threatening to choke him. I can feel it rising in my own throat like bile. But we both get in. And that's when I know this isn't going to go away. Ray and Nestor found out somehow. They know we know it was them at Don Felicio's store. And now they've come for us. Fate is fate. And this, it turns out, has always been our fate. The thing is, I guess I've always known it would be, and still I lied to myself. Even if Mama thinks I have an artist heart, even if I try to see the world in color, even if I dare to dream, it doesn't matter when the world keeps turning black. Pequena. It's been 9 days since that baby slipped from my body. 9 days hearing him cry and being forced to hold and feed and take care of him while Mama's at work. 9 days of whispered lies to Ray, who forces his way to the house when she's at work and makes me prepare lunch for him. 9 days of him telling me this is what our life will be like, a family, together, forever, as he licks his greasy lips and smiles. They invade everything. My thoughts, my body, my house. I hear the baby cry even when he doesn't. I feel right next to me even when he's not. I stand in the shower wishing I would slip down the drain. Let me go to the market for you, Mommy. Por favor, por favor. I beg on her day off. I hold Mommy's hand and put it on my cheek. I beg like a small, desperate child. I beg until she gets tears in her eyes. Fine, she says finally, caressing my hair. She stays like that a moment, and I can almost hear how her heart cries for me. Then the next breath, she's handing me a list of what she needs, and she says, feed the baby first. 1,000 needles of resentment pricked my heart. Can't you just give him a bottle, please? I asked. He let out a breath, exasperated, annoyed. But Kenya, you really want to put that on your Tia? Fresh guilt washes over me. Fresh guilt washes over older guilt. Tia Consuelo came over with a canister of formula the day after the funeral and told Mommy she would be in charge of buying it for the baby. I nearly wept with relief. But Mommy, she didn't want Tia to have more worries on her shoulders. So she made me keep feeding that baby during the day and use the formula only at night so I could sleep. If you just get used to it, there won't be any need for your Tia to buy formula, Mommy says. And I know she means well, but what if she can't afford to help after a few months? We don't have money just lying around, and then you won't have any milk, and it's tough already with the expensive diapers. I want to tell her I have money, that in my dresser I have the bills Ray peels off a roll each time he visits. That even this he forces on me, even though I refused at first because it felt like I was being bald. But he insists, because I'm not like most men, Pequena. I'm going to support this baby, so I accept. But I can't give the money to Mommy without explaining, and I can't explain. Here, Mommy hands me the baby. I take him in my arms and put him on my breast. I close my eyes as he latches on because I can't look at him. When I do, I see he needs to be loved, and I don't think I can love this baby. So he will grow up unloved, because just like Ray. And that fills me with shame and fear. I fill my mind instead with how I will get away from here with Ray's money. People will talk when I go. What a terrible girl I am. What a terrible mother. What a terrible daughter. But I don't care. Because at night, when I pray for this to end, for my milk to dry, and for the baby to somehow disappear, and for Ray to die, nobody hears me. So let everyone talk. I won't hear them either. I'll be too far away. The baby's lips release my breast, and I pull away, hand him to Mommy. Don't be gone too long, she yells as I rush out the door. You hear me, Pequena? but I'm already running, fast and faster, and her words get lost in the distance and the wind. I don't hear her. I don't hear anyone but myself. Run, I say, run away from here. Run as fast as you can. Bolga. Nestor drives fast and without any care, weaving in and out of traffic, cutting off motor scooters and running them off the road. We hit countless potholes in the road, feeling like our bones and teeth will crack in every violent dip. My mind flashes with white. I picture my skeleton under my flesh, my skull bleached by the sun years from now if I'm ever even found. Where are we going? I ask him. Nestor doesn't answer and instead turns up the music in the car. Where we end up is a little abandoned building not very far from our school. I can see some of our classmates in the distance in their pressed white shirts and checkered blue pants or skirts as they pass through the gated entry. Some are laughing. Nestor gets out of the car. I'm frozen in my seat. Chico is pale. Come on, Nestor says, motioning toward a large wooden door, the gun casually in his hand. Chico and I get out of the car and follow him. The door hangs slightly off center so it doesn't close all the way. My eyes immediately fall to a lone, tiny yellow flower that has bloomed in the crack of the building's wall. A weed, really, but bright and unreal, and for a fraction of a second, I marvel that it exists, even as my mind fills with exactly how I will die. I have been close to death before, bodies and blood and gurgling last breaths, but this time it feels like it is on the other side of the door. I'm sitting quiet, waiting, ready. Nestor tells us to go through the door. Chico begins to cry, and I smell urine. When I look at him, I see the dark, wet patch on the front of his pants. Nestor laughs. Let's go, he says, and bangs the door open. Chico and I enter slowly, trying to adjust to the darkness. I wait for the round of bullets. I wonder if I will hear them before I feel them. But we enter, and there's only silence. A room black and dank. A room that smells of blood, a mixture of sweet and sour. A room that smells of the odor of humans keenly aware that they are about to die. Or maybe it's me who smells like that. Then suddenly a voice. ¿Qué pasa, muchachos? Ray asks us what's up before I see him. But then he becomes visible, sitting on a chair in the corner, his feet up on a table in front of him, smoking a cigarette. Two other guys I don't know or recognize are sitting on either side of him. One of them wears a large gold ring in his nose. Nestor nudges us toward the table. Ray takes a long drag as we make our way over. He lets it out as we stand in front of him. Look at this one of the guys next to Ray says. He effing pissed himself. Ray looks at Chico from head to toe, then he turns to me. You remember me, don't you? I don't know whether to say yes or no, but the way he stares, the only choice seems to be telling the truth. He waits, unnervingly patient, and I nod. He smiles and takes another drag. It's been a while since that day at school, hasn't it? Again, I nod. He puts out his cigarette on the tabletop, and then he says very slowly, "But not so long since the day in the old man's store." He smiles. His eyes crinkle. I freeze. He waits. I can't swallow. It feels like a rubber ball is blocking my throat. I try to swallow, but I've completely forgotten how. My body won't work. It makes it impossible to breathe. Panic sets in, and I feel like I'm suffocating right there in front of Ray as he stares at me with that terrible smile on his face. The sound of Chico whimpering louder snaps me out of it. No, not so long, I say finally. Oh, good, he says, with a bigger smile on his face now. I didn't think you'd try to lie to me, but you never know. He studies my face. What? Are you surprised I know? That I didn't go after you right away? I watch as his eyes light up like he's enjoying this. If I'd killed the old man that day and the two of you, I'd get too much heat. Authorities that want to be paid off would come sniffing around. That's something a brainless thug would do. But not me. I'm careful, thoughtful. I'm building something here. And I need live, young bodies for that. He rubs his chin and then points his finger at me. See, I knew I was right about you. What impresses me even more than your ability to stay quiet is that I know you and your mama helped the old man's wife. He studies my reaction, and I keep my face as expressionless as possible. You liked him. He waits. A flash of Don Felicio standing at the counter of his store in the midday heat, looking into the distance and smiling when he saw us coming, fills my mind. I wipe it away and stiffly nod again. And still, you knew to stay quiet. You'd be surprised how many guys still try to do the right thing. Like that's gotten anyone around here anywhere but the grave. Ray raises his eyebrows and shakes his head. Well, enough of that. He removes his feet from the table and sits up. What brought you here is because you've proven you can be of use to me. What you're going to do is be my little gophers for a while. It is at this moment that Chico does the worst thing he can do, even worse than crying and pissing himself. He vomits. Ed! The other guy next to Ray yells, as he pushes his chair back and looks at the vomit that has splattered his feet. Este reposado, man! He flings the insult at Chico. What he deserves are some vergazos. The guy's fists ball up like he's ready to deliver the pummeling he thinks Chico deserves. Stand firm, I want to tell Chico, be strong. But Chico just wipes his mouth and shrinks back. Ray fixes his eyes on him. He twists his mouth back and forth as if weighing the pros and cons of Chico. Then he looks at me again. What we have here, he says aloud, is the brains and the muscle. You, he says, pointing to me again. You have street smarts I could use. And you, he says, pointing to Chico, do anything he tells you. Ray keeps sizing us up. Would he do anything you tell him? He asks me. I nod. Of course, we're brothers, so do whatever I tell him, anything. I know Ray needs to see the use for Chico to keep him around. I don't exactly know what not keeping him around would mean, but I can guess. Ray's eyes light up. Let's see. Let's have him beat the shit out of you. Nestor and the other guy start laughing. Can you do that, Gordo? Ray says, looking at Chico. Can you prove you're the muscle and you'll do anything this one tells you? Chico won't look up. He stares at the floor and I can see snot and tears dripping from his face. I don't have all day, Ray says. I turn to Chico. Come on, just a few punches. You know I can take it. Come on. But he won't move. It's like he can't hear me. Chico, I say again, fight me. But he's solid as a statue and doesn't move. Out of all the times I need him to listen to me, he chooses the most important time when both his and my lives depend on it to do this. The panic shooting through my body, through my veins, doubles like some kind of shot of adrenaline as I realize that if we don't perform for Ray, he will get rid of us, one way or another. Chico, I said fight! I yell at him. I plow into him. Come on! My voice cracks and the guys around Ray laugh harder, but Ray doesn't laugh. He looks at Chico and me like he's reassessing whether we can really be of any use to him. Damn it, Chico, I yell. My heart is beating harder, and I'm sweating as I start punching him. Fight back. I said, fight back. I slam into him with my whole body. When I call him a pig like that, like he's nothing more than a filthy animal, a fat boar, he looks at me with such hurt on his face, and I realize it's only these kinds of words, hurtful and terrible, that can pierce the fog of fear he's in. So I call him an effing pig again, even though I feel something in me break when he looks back at me again, his eyes full of betrayal, like he can't believe I'm saying what I'm saying. That's right, I said, let's go. I reach up and slap him across the face. He pushes my hand away roughly. I do it again and again. Stop, he says through clenched teeth. Come on, I say, circling him. I know him best. I know every insecurity he has. I know how he feels about his weight. I know the sacred love he has for his slain mother. I know about her past and how she sold her body to survive and provide for her and Chico in the streets when he was little and occasionally when he was not. And because I love him and because I need to hurt him so he will hurt me, I use it all of it. I taunt him until I see the anger building behind that hurt in his eyes until finally he lets it all out. Chico's fists are harder than I expected, and he's stronger than I or anyone would have guessed. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore as I yell and try to unleash as much rage inside of him as I can. All I hear is his screeching like a pig being slaughtered as his fists rain down on me along with his tears. And even though it hurts, I'm glad for it. I'm glad that he responds to each of my words with another blow to my gut, to my chest, to my face, to my head. I'm glad for the thunderous pain, for the metallic taste to my mouth. I'm glad for the blurriness of my eyesight and the sense of falling into a deep black hole. The rest of the world getting farther and farther away. The sound of Ray and Nestor and Chico and those two guys fading with the dim light in that room. That's it, Chico, just like that, I whisper. Good job. He's sitting on my chest. He's wrapping his hands around my neck. And even like this, even in his anger, I see a tenderness in Chico that makes me want to cry every single time. Good job, I say. His gaze meets mine for just a second, but that's all it takes. I smile, and suddenly he stops. He gets off me, and I lie there, staring at the ceiling, gasping for breath. Laughter and clapping fills the room. Wow, Ray yells. A long, sharp whistle sounds and makes my head feel like it might crack in half. That was spectacular. More whistling. Ray comes and stands over me. Yes, you two will do just fine, he says. My vision blurs as he keeps splitting in two and merging back together. Get up, he says, grabbing onto my arm and pulling me back. I'll see you two tomorrow. Nestor will pick you up, same as today. Got some things lined up for you. We won't say anything. Please, please. I say, hoping he will understand, but I don't have the nerve to say out loud. Please don't pull us into this. Please let us go. Ray knows exactly what I mean, and he looks at me, shakes his head. I want you to know a couple of things. These two. He looks over at the guys who have been sitting next to him this whole time. They've watched you sleep. They've watched everything you do. That little fire where you burned your clothes. Smart. The little mattress where you sleep like an effing stray dog, he says to Chico. I know all about it. So you boys have two choices. Be my friend or be my enemy. I think you know which one will work out better for you, right? One of the guys smiles and whistles a soft little tune, the same whistle we heard outside our window that night. And I know it's useless. I know we really only have one choice. I nod. Ray smiles. Good. I have big plans. I'm building something special, and I need my army. His eyes are gleaming. Welcome, my little soldiers. Then he motions to Nestor, who leads us out and takes us home, the radio blaring the whole way. The ride doesn't feel real, and each pop splits my head more and more. But before I know it, I'm getting out of the car in front of our house. The sun blinds me. I hear Nestor driving away, the music receding with the car. I smell the dust mixing with the musky smell of car freshener still in my nose. All of it makes me queasy. Chico's next to me, holding me up as I sway back and forth in the heat. Mama's supposed to be at work, waitressing at one of the restaurants of Amati, the nearest resort. But even so, I make sure the patio is empty of her motor scooter before we go inside. I wash my face carefully, rinse my mouth, checking for any loose teeth. Chico runs to the store and gets some ice. It feels like he's gone forever. It feels like he's been gone only a second. I blink and he's suddenly back, standing over me on the burning hot couch, baggies of half-melted ice and a towel. I put it on my face, hoping the swelling and bruising won't be too bad. Neither of us says a thing. There are no words. Even if there were, I don't even know if we need them. We both knew this would happen one day. Living on this land is like building a future on quicksand. You know you'll go down. You know it'll swallow you up. You're just not sure how or when. Now we know for sure. No, there are no words, only feeling. And I feel something sharp in my chest. I keep trying to breathe through it, hoping the pain will shift and smooth out. I wonder if one of my ribs is broken and poking my heart. But I don't think that's it. The fight with Chico, the words that came out of my mouth, that cut right to the core of him, slashed at the tissue and fibers of my heart as well. Everything here comes at a price. I've tried to fight against my artist heart, to make it steel instead, but I can't. The realization brings a new wave of panic. All I can do is let my heart tear and rip, tear and rip. My mind flashes with the red, the blue, the pink, the diagram of a heart we drew in class earlier this year. The striatum muscle in the tissue. And then I remember something my teacher told me about torn up tissue, how it becomes scar tissue, and how that scar tissue can affect the sense of feeling. Maybe that's what I need, to wrap my heart, myself, in scar tissue. I think of the blood coagulating, the tissue fusing together. I think of the thick scar forming over that tear, over and over again, until any pain is just a small, fleeting thing. Maybe that way it won't shatter. Maybe that way it won't rot. I think of Ray's heart, black and deteriorated. I think of Mama's heart now, how it will ooze with the bright red pain. I feel myself sinking deeper into the couch, falling into the black, so I focus on pink and blue, the soft pink of heart valves, the deep, pulsing blue of veins. Something, anything, to keep me from total darkness.